Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch every one and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are discussing a bit of a grab bag of things from the fall of 1987, including another episode of The Storyteller called Fearnot, the pitch reel for the Jim Henson Hour, a National Wildlife Federation PSA, and the Muppets appearing on an ABC News special called Wall Street and the Economy. But before we get into that, Sam, I asked our audience for some assumptions about us.
I saw this. Why did you do that?
It's just a thing I see that happens on the internet from time to time. Is
you didn't
people,
make this up. You weren't feeling
no.
self-conscious or
far
something
from
like
it.
that. Okay.
More so, I feel like we're pretty, open books on this podcast about things in our life or our personal tastes about things. Like, we're not shy. So
Yeah.
I was curious if there were things that people assumed about us that hadn't come up on the podcast.
Okay.
Now, we didn't get like a ton, and we also didn't get anything too, I'd say, dramatic. No one assumed terrible things about us, thankfully. But I feel like, there's a few in here that I feel like as we address them, I think we're going to prove ourselves to be more boring than the audience even thinks we are.
Oh, no. I'm only a 37-year-old man. You can't put too much stock in me, okay, guys?
Well, I mean,
I'm
the first one addresses that, I think. It says, Sam is secretly from the 1950s. His vernacular always feels old-timey, especially when he calls people crumb bums.
I'm not secretly from the 1950s. I don't know why I say stuff like that. It's probably because I watched too much Venture Brothers and Mystery Science Theater when I was a kid. I would guess it just seeped into my brain.
Yeah, you just watch things that are influenced or referencing things from the 50s. And so,
yeah, Crumb Bum is definitely from Venture Brothers. That's definitely where I picked that up. But I don't know. That's just the way I am, baby.
Well, the next one about me just said Matt is literally a Muppet.
Which is interesting because you sent me something somebody sent you where they called me a Muppet. So we're both just Muppet
Apparently,
guys.
yeah. Which I guess, which one of us is more of a literal Muppet in their day-to-day life? Because I think, obviously, on the podcast, we're a little bit more hyped up, exaggerated than normal. But like day-to-day,
I think that's a good question, but a flawed question because your Muppets range from animal to Sam Eagle.
True.
So really, you can be a Muppet in lots of different ways, and I do feel like that's kind of the gamut where you run. Where
like you could be a Statler in your day-to-day life, and that's not very interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you have your Waldorf. Unless you found your Waldorf, man. If you're just a Statler by itself, that's not any good. You don't have anyone to talk to. I don't know. I think that the people's probably perception of that is correct. I feel like both of us probably are a little bit more. I mean, certainly there's people I know who are less like whimsical than I. And there's people I know who are more whimsical than I.
Maybe that's what it is like this sort of like, unironic enjoyment of things, like giving into the whimsy is maybe what makes it seem like we're more Muppety than the average person.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the average person. That's probably true. I don't know all people, so I don't know the average person, but there's some people who are like boring, and I don't think I'm that boring. I think I'm a little boring.
I think it has also something to do with our definition of boring. Is because I feel this way sometimes when I feel like it's like a roller coaster of emotions when I learn about someone I went to high school with who has never had a Twitter or an Instagram account, is not really online. They have a Facebook because they kind of should, but they just kind of, work and have their day-to-day life with their families. And then I realize, at first I'm like, how does one live that life, which obviously the work we're in, base level, we're a little bit more online
Does
than the
that make
average
it that a
person.
little harder for sure? Yeah.
But then it turns to envy at a certain point where I'm just
Yep.
like, wow, what it must be like to never have been on Twitter.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I do think there are things you miss
Oh, for
not being
sure.
on Twitter that do work their way into the mainstream
Mhm.
or do handle like prepare you for certain things.
I can't imagine
And
trying to watch things like SNL these days
yes,
as a
exactly.
super offline person because
Right.
I would not call myself a chronically online person. I miss a lot of memes and a lot of things that are very popular.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, what is this song? And it's like the most popular song on TikTok
I mean, I
ever.
see them eventually, but way later, generally. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not,
but like those things come up quite often now on SNL, and I can't imagine, my dad watching SNL now
yeah.
and trying to understand the references.
Honestly, I am getting to the point where I'll hear about a new singer or something, and everybody will be like, wow, we love this person and we've loved them for years. And I'll be like, I can't, this is me being old. I can't keep up with this
See,
anymore.
music is one where I'll try to keep up. Like I'll
Yeah.
go
You're
listen
a
to new
cool music
things.
guy.
That's me. But it's more the like, for me, and this will be very old man yells at cloud kind of thing. It's the very passing memes that are like for a week the most important thing in the world, but I
Yeah.
know will probably be replaced by something else next week. That like when I hear about those, I am like actively choosing to not engage because I'm just like, that doesn't sound like a thing that I'm gonna have to hear about in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And a lot of them are like, I don't know, that whole thing. I think the people I follow online are just getting older too, where
That
it's like a lot of the memes now are like, yeah, what Idaho? What do the kids say? Iowa, Ohio. What is
I
that?
I honestly don't even know what you're trying to say, which proves that I'm even more out of touch.
Yeah, Anyway, yeah. I think I also feel envy when people aren't on Twitter. I successfully did disconnect from Twitter. I
Yeah,
just
but
got
did
straight
you?
onto Blue Sky.
There you go. You're just
But
on new Twitter.
but Twitter did hit that rock bottom level of disgusting racism where I was like, time to go.
Yeah, it's still there on Blue Sky though, and Threads. Like, unfortunately, that.
It's mostly the CEO of Twitter is
Well,
not
yeah,
somebody that
yeah,
I
yeah,
can.
yeah.
I mean, I know that it's still there, but I can't abide by the person who runs it actively encouraging it
Right. Yeah,
and
no, that
going
is.
to Trump rallies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, no, it's always such a bummer too because Blue Sky and Threads haven't necessarily taken on their audiences yet, and so you can post the same thing across all the platforms, and you'll get like 100 likes on Twitter, and then you'll get 2 likes on Blue Sky, and you're
Right.
like, is anyone else here?
I think it'll happen. I'm guessing it'll happen.
I feel like most people are just choosing to not sign up for
Yeah.
a new Twitter,
I think that's true too.
which again, I envy a little bit, but
What a fun answer to which one of us is more Muppety than the other one. Neither of
yeah.
us, because we're both 37-year-old men who are just tired.
I blame this on it's a rainy, gloomy morning here in Missoula.
That's right.
So we're a bit in our Eeyore era, I think,
That's
right
right.
now.
It's about to be cloudy for 6 months, so
Yeah. Yeah, we won't see the sun again until March. So let's get back into these assumptions. One says Sam is short.
I'm a perfectly average height.
I agree. I don't think Sam is a short person.
I mean, scientifically, I'm 5'9.5", 5'10", depending on
Yeah,
what
I
time
think we're
of
like
day
the
it
same
is.
height.
I think that's right. I
So
think
if
you
you're
might be
assuming that one of us is dramatically taller than the other, that's not true.
I would guess you're a hair taller than me, but I don't even know if that's true. I think
I'm
are
like 5'9", so
yeah, I think we're basically exactly the same height.
for forever, I kept saying I was 5'10" because I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to a doctor, and they were like, "You're 5'9", and I'm like, "That seems fake."
You went to the doctor just so they could take your height.
Another one, which I feel like is a very curious way to word this. Someone assumed that, quote, "You are both absolutely obsessed with your wives."
Well, that feels like a trap.
Right, a little bit. I'm like, obviously we both like our wives. We
I
both
think
love our wives, but
yeah.
like, I don't know what absolutely obsessed.
I think I'm the proper amount of loving my wife as for someone who has a wife.
I wonder if there's like a sort of wife guy energy we put out there in the world because, there are other podcasters or just online people who take a chance to like, hey, the old ball and chain. And it's like,
Yeah.
we actually like our partners and like doing things with them, like, watching a movie or watching TV or whatever. And so it maybe just because we casually talk about enjoying living our life with our wives
Yeah.
that's obsession in some people's eyes.
I actually think every podcast I listen to, every podcast I listen to where the host has a wife, I think I could could be led to believe that they're obsessed with their wives, because
Right.
there are a lot of podcasters who also are very wife guy-y, I feel like, too. So
Yeah.
maybe just talking about a wife period is enough. You're
Yeah.
right, to get you
Just
over the
mentioning
edge
a
to being
wife.
obsessed. Absolutely obsessed with my wife. I can't. I refuse to answer that one way or the other.
It does feel like a little bit of a trap because to
Yeah.
say I'm not obsessed with my wife
Yeah.
feels like a negative, but also
Yeah.
saying I'm
I
obsessed
am
with my
obsessed
wife
with my wife.
sounds bad too.
It's bad. That sounds worse, honestly.
We like our wives.
I don't think my wife would say she's obsessed with me. So how about that?
I think you might have chose the third, maybe worse option.
No,
out of the possible
not
options.
worse. That's not worse than I'm obsessed with my wife, for sure. That's the middle option.
Well, clearly my soundproof booth that I've built for myself doesn't work as well as I would imagine because I just got a text from my wife saying, "You're obsessed with me, don't lie."
Aw, that's cute. And weird that she's just sitting there listening to you talk.
I don't think she's sitting outside the door. She was probably honestly walking by because I'm at the end of the hallway. So I have to imagine she was just walking by and heard me say I'm not obsessed with her, which
the
is
only
probably
other thing you can assume is that she's sitting right outside the door. So it's safer to assume the first one.
I
for
mean,
your mental
honestly,
health.
with this like sort of sensory deprivation chamber I'm in, she could be 6 inches
Don't
away.
even say that. That freaks me out too bad.
On the other side of this curtain, and I wouldn't know.
Matt, open the curtain. There's nobody back there.
She's not there.
No.
We got a couple more. One person said, you both own at least one Funko Pop, probably the Jim Henson one.
And another thing is, I don't want to be rude to these people, but I think the only Funko Pop I've ever seen where I thought I could buy that is specifically a Elmo Funko Pop, because the Elmo Funko Pops have the right what's that called,
ratio,
the right measurements, the right ratio to be Elmo, and the eyes are filled in. So like there are some Muppet Funko Pops where I'm like, I could do this, but no, I wouldn't. I think it would take an extreme circumstance for me. There'd have to be a Funko Pop of myself,
right,
or my wife, for me to be, or like somebody I knew personally. I think I would buy, like, if Hank ever had a Funko Pop, I think I would buy a Hank Funko Pop. Be like, look at this crazy thing. But no. I don't think I own a Funko Pop.
We are not Funko Pop guys, I think is a statement we can
I think
clearly
people would buy me a Funko Pop.
Yes, I have been given multiple Funko Pops in my life. I was gifted a Batman one at one point and a Han Solo one.
Okay.
By somebody who was a Funko Pop person and knew that I liked Batman and Star Wars. I no longer own either of those ones. I do actually own 2 Funko Pops there in my house. Neither one is on display because, again, I'm just not a Funko Pop person. And I feel like there's a line that, this is not a judgment, but like, it seems very easy to become a Funko Pop person where you just have all of them.
I love how many Funko Pops there are of like the 2 guys from Supernatural or whatever who are just like people in clothes.
Yeah,
I really like that.
The 2 I have, the person assumed correctly. I do have the Jim Henson one. They put out 2, one where he had Kermit and one where he had Ernie. I have the Kermit one, and then the other one I have, just because it was one of those I saw and I was like, I'm glad they made that, was Martin Crane from Frasier, because he came with also a little Eddie.
Yeah, I'm not too proud to say that a Funko Pop could never get me, because I think
I think that for me, it was like early on, which I don't know, at this point, it's probably what, 10, 15 years ago when they started making
yeah,
Funko Pops.
maybe more,
It
but
felt
yeah.
like a big deal when they were like, this was, I don't know how to describe this without sounding again like a super old man. There was an era where not everything had a toy.
Yeah.
And so the idea that they were putting out Golden Girls Funko Pops in like 2007 or whatever like that
Right.
was like weird thing and was
Yes.
bizarre that someone would decide to put out a collectible of this old canceled show about old ladies. And
Yeah.
so at the time it was very novel. And I think when Funko Pops started, people like I saw them that way as like, oh my God, I can't believe they made a toy of, you know, this Boy Meets World or whatever like that. Like something
Yeah.
else that would never get a toy, they decided to make a Funko Pop out of.
Now it's like
And
literally
now,
the least novel form of merch that anything can
yes.
have.
Like I think like it's one of those things where no offense to Hank, but at this point, if Hank got a Funko Pop, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. Absolutely, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't
Whereas early
know.
on, I
Yeah.
feel like if Hank got a Funko Pop 10 years ago, that would have been huge.
It'd be like you and Betty White. You're in rarefied air, my friend.
But yeah, they just feel like less special than they used to, especially when I go in and there are certain stores that just got taken over. Like GameStop
Yeah.
has giant Funko Pop
Yeah.
areas. I used to work at Hot Topic, and the Hot Topic I used to work at, for a while I was still following their Facebook page, and every single Facebook post they would put up was about this week's new Funko Pops.
Ew, that's so weird.
I think what this gets at is that like I would not consider myself a collector. Like
Yeah.
there's not things that I look at and I need all of the versions of all of the things in the set. Um, so I don't necessarily buy things that way anyways. And because I don't particularly like the look of Funko Pops in general,
Hmm.
they're not going to get me.
Yes, I have to like the look of it for sure. I
You are
do.
more of a collector though.
There's a couple things I collect. There are very few things that I feel like I have to have every version of everything for sure. There are a couple things, but for the most part, I am at the vintage or like at the antique store. That's really cool. Get that
Mhm.
kind of thing. But there's like Ninja Turtles and like, you know, there's some old toys where I'm like, I could have every single one of those, and I probably will someday. But for the most part, no. And I have to like what they look like too, for sure.
Yeah.
And I simply don't with the Funkos. But if you do, that's great.
Yeah.
You certainly got plenty to buy if you like Funko Pops. You're never gonna be bored if you like Funko Pops.
Yeah, there's plenty of Muppet ones out there too, so there is crossover. But the last assumption about us is one that I'm just, came out of the blue. It says Matt puts his seatbelt on as soon as he gets into the car. Sam does it after he's in gear. Maybe the car's already moving.
Absolutely not. I'm a very prudent seatbelt putter oner.
All right. I am. The assumption about me was correct.
Yeah.
The assumption about you, incorrect.
I that probably is one of the things I would judge people. One of the like everyday things I would judge people for the most. I do
Yeah.
notice when people don't put their seatbelts on immediately. Somebody could like be smoking in the cigarette in the car with their seatbelt buckled, and I'd be like, this person's great. Yeah, seatbelt. Who's not putting on their seatbelt? Come on.
Well, at this point too, like sometimes it's just like rude if you like hop in the backseat of someone's car and the
Yeah,
car just keeps beeping at everyone. It's like, hey,
that's true.
it's
Yeah.
your fault that the car is beeping right now.
Have you ever been in the car with somebody who does that?
I don't think anyone who like fully was refusing or not putting on their seatbelt. I think they were just taking maybe too long. And it was like, I was like, yeah, I would have pulled out of the driveway by now, but
Yeah.
we're just waiting on you.
I was in an Uber once where the guy didn't
no.
have his seatbelt on, and it was beeping. Like it just beeped all day.
Right. Especially if it's the driver.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yikes.
There's some stuff like that where people can just like when you watch a TikTok and somebody's like smoke alarms going off or something,
Yeah.
and it's just like the low level irritation that some people can just like choose to ignore. That's beyond me.
Yeah. Well, I also like, there's certain things that I'm just, why just put your seatbelt on. Well, that is, the commitment audience's assumptions about us. I'm sure we'll get more rolling in now, especially that I'm curious to disprove.
I'd love to have more. That was fun.
So now, Sam, it's time for me to ask, what did we watch this week?
First, we watched an ad for the National Wildlife Federation. They've done these before. Am I wrong?
Yep,
I'm not
we've
wrong
seen at
about that.
least
Yep.
2 or 3 of these.
Kermit's standing in front of the Mount Rushmore heads, whom he identifies as experts on clean air for some reason. I guess because they're just out in
They're up in the
nature.
air.
They're up
They're
in the air.
tall.
The heads talk about clean air being important and tell the viewer to write Washington and demand an end to air pollution. Then we watched a pitch reel for the Jim Henson Hour, apparently, according to Matt's spreadsheet, from September 25th, 1987.
That's when they filmed it, yes.
Okay. Jim is in a fanciful version of the Muppet Workshop that's crawling with living Muppets, and he's walking the viewer through what he envisions as the Jim Henson Hour, a weekly show that each month rotates through 4 different themes. The first week will be an hour-long episode of The Storyteller. The second week will be Lead-Free TV, which is just inner tube TV by a different name. The third week will be a storybook movie like Tales of the Bunny Picnic or Emmett Otter. And the fourth week seems to be sort of a dealer's choice, whatever he wants it to be week. He describes it a couple different ways, I think, in this, but then he shows lots of clips of all the stuff that they've made that people like as examples for what each week could be, including way too many clips of inner tube TV. Kermit, Piggy, and Gonzo also pop in to be like, hey, remember me? I probably won't be in this show, but here I am now, so give us some money. Then we watched the Storyteller episode Fearnot, air date October 26, 1987. Storyteller, great. This would be a great Halloween special. This would be a fun thing to watch on October
very
26th,
spooky.
huh? Storyteller's dog sees a spider and gets freaked out, so the storyteller decides to tell him a story about a young man named Fearnot who, naturally, could not feel fear. Fearnot's a bit of a loafer and spends his days playing his fiddle under the window of a babe that he's in love with instead of helping out his dad. And one day, Fearnot's dad has had just about enough of this foolishness, hands Fearnot some money, and tells him to go out into the world and learn something for once in his life. Fearnot decides that what he should learn is how to feel fear. Just then, luckily, he meets a creepy little con man merchant guy named Mackay, who promises to teach Fearnot fear in exchange for the money that his dad gave him. After none of the regular, screams and startles and way to scare somebody work, Mackay leads Fearnot to a cursed pond where ghostly, beautiful women lure people in to drown. Fearnot starts playing them his fiddle, and then he walks into the water where he meets the monster who's apparently the one doing the drowning after the ghost ladies lure people into the pond. The monster's going to kill Fearnot, but first he wants Fearnot to give him the beautiful music that his fiddle is playing, but Fearnot explains that he can't give him the music, he has to play the music, and then explains that he can find more music like it in Ireland. So the monster leaves his little pond to go to Ireland to learn how to play fiddle or something. I'm not really sure what he's going to do in Ireland.
He's going to go find what he calls the bird.
Yeah.
Who's playing the song, who's singing the song. And so really that guy's just going to Ireland to find a bird.
I think I like you flash forward like 10 years and this guy is like deep in the fiddle community. He's like a really respected fiddle player, beloved. He's playing for whatever their version of like Carnegie Hall is. And he's a creepy monster.
See, I picture him more hanging out with the riffraff in the lower part of the Titanic when they're going and dancing down there.
Oh,
you
that's
you just pan over and you see this weird catfish alien man. You're like, what's that? Okay.
No explanation. He is, however, fine when the Titanic sinks.
Yeah. He's just, oh, cool, more water. I'm good.
Yeah. The nearby townsfolk rejoice because Fearnot has bested the monster and gotten it away from them, and soon people start telling Mackay of other scary places to bring Fearnot so that he can defeat those monsters by being so fearless too. Mackay takes Fearnot to a cursed castle where he is to spend the night. Inside, he meets a man who's only a top half, and this man steals the legs of those who enter the castle by challenging them to bowling with human skulls as the balls and human leg bones as the pins. Fearnot, who is not scared by any of this, wins the contest, and the monster's like, curses. And then Fearnot goes off to sleep, but the half-man monster guy jumps out and tries to strangle him to death. But then Fearnot just kind of like makes him hit his head and kills this monster guy. He and Mackay then explore the castle and find a room full of gold. They head back home, wealthy men, but Fearnot is bummed that he never learned to be afraid. Once they get back home, the father of the babe that Fearnot is in love with runs out of the house to tell Fearnot that she fell into a coma of sadness after he left. Fearnot goes in and sits by her bedside and finally shudders in fear, the fear of losing the one that he loves the most. And she wakes up, and that's the end. An actual happy ending to a fairy tale, I guess, huh? And then finally, we watched a jumble of confusing clips from the November 6, 1987 ABC News special, Wall Street and the Economy. The stock market had just crashed Black Monday, Black Tuesday. I don't remember which
Monday.
day. And since the stock market is a confusing on purpose shell game for rich people and con artists, the stakes of which impact everybody in the country, when something goes wrong, it's kind of hard to explain what exactly is happening. So they trot out Kermit and Fozzie and Rolf and Sam Eagle to define things like budget deficit.
Don't forget Lyle the dog.
And Lyle the dog, who we previously saw in the country music thing with Rolf. Is that right?
He's been a couple times. I think he's just one of those Muppets that they're like, hey, he looks cool. We should trot him out whenever we need him. But he was in a UK spot on the Muppet Show.
Sure.
The unfortunate Pass the Peace Pipe one, where we had a bunch of cool dog puppets, but an unfortunate problematic song.
Yep.
But then he was also in The Cat Came Back on the Muppet Show. He'll be in the Jim Henson Hour. So, but yes, he was also in the Country Music with the Muppets video.
I think he had kind of a similar personality in that too, right?
I think because he was also performed by Frank Oz.
Yeah, right.
In both of those. So, yeah, he'll show up a few more times, I think as recently as 2018 for the Muppets Take the O2.
Well, he and Rolf, Lyle and Rolf, describe margin calls, which sounds just like a bunch of Wall Street bullshit to me, basically. I have a lot of notes on Lyle. I think they could have done something different there.
But other things that were happening in the world of the Muppets around this time is that on October 30th, Lord Lou Grade will appear on Wogan. Wogan is a show that we've watched previously.
We've seen Wogan before.
Yeah, I was hoping to find this clip just because, we haven't seen a ton of Lord Lou Grade. And I was, wanting to check it out. And I think he does talk about the Muppets, I think, a little bit during that appearance. And then previously we talked about the November 4th Phil Donahue show appearance, where they were promoting the book and album Free to Be a Family that happens during this time. And then we also previously talked about the November 6th, 1987 is when they were filming the first commercial for the Swedish Chef cereal, when it was still called Stupid Flakes. But yeah, that was in the Fraggle Rock, the animated series, when we first covered this time period is when we discussed that. Well, getting into what we watched this week. First was the National Wildlife Federation PSA. This aired sometime in 1987. There's not like a specific date range, so I just tossed it in here with some of our other stuff we're talking about this week. It's Kermit and Mount Rushmore in like a 15-second thing, so there's not a ton to say about it.
There kind of was a lot going on in this 30 seconds, I think, though. There's a lot of dialogue. Also, are all these voices Jim?
Ooh, I didn't pay that close of attention.
I kind of think they are.
It could be. This is a similar Mount Rushmore that we saw in Muppet Show Sex and Violence, where they were doing the same joke of Washington being oblivious.
Yeah.
And sort of,
Weird.
The least smart of the four Mount Rushmore presidents.
You think he remembered that all those years later? Or do you think that it was just like, for some reason, that's just where his brain goes?
Oh, I think it's very intentional. If you go back and watch the Sex and Violence one, it's like identical in the way that these characters behave. And they also had at one point in 1983, they were going to do the 60 Minutes segments called Muppet Minute, which I feel like probably didn't work out because they would have been pretty similar to the Wall Street and the Economy thing that we ended up watching.
Right.
But they were also planning on doing some political humor with the Mount Rushmore puppets in 1983. And apparently, Muppet Wiki tells me, a draft of the Muppet movie script featured a scene where the heads of Mount Rushmore agreed to let Henry Kissinger join them.
Oh no. What?
Yep.
Just something stuck in his head, huh? Talking
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore. He loves those guys.
But this is a new version of the puppets. They were rebuilt for this. And yeah, this is mostly about air pollution with jokes like, air pollution is easy to overlook, even from up here. And mount a campaign right to Washington. To which Washington replies,
Who,
me?
You idiot. George Washington, you're so fucking stupid. Maybe if I was alive in 1987. Well, I was. Maybe if I was conscious in 1987, I would be more aware of what the air pollution thing they're talking about is. This feels like there's like a lot of old commercials that are about stuff that maybe just have been so normalized now that we don't really think about it anymore. Or it's just like, oh, we noticed air pollution exists in 1987, and now we'll talk about it for a little while, and then we'll never talk about it again. Or if something really bad was happening, because this was maybe the ozone layer period, is that right? Where there was a hole.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. It's just like commercial for such a general thing that I don't know. If I called my senator and said, "Hey, air pollution," they'd say, "You're gonna have to really narrow down which type we're talking about here."
You'd also be like, you live in Montana. Calm down. We're good.
Yeah, I think we're all right. Yeah.
And then skipping around a little bit, just because it's another thing that I think we'll have not as much to say about, because it was only like 8 minutes of content. November 6th, 1987, the Muppets appeared on ABC News special Wall Street and the Economy because, Black Monday happened, and then they, I guess, wanted to calm people's fears. And so they put on a 3-hour special to address concerns of the stock market drop. And the Muppets appeared to explain things to the very concerned audience.
Yeah, the people behind them look very severe. They looked like people who are not in the mood to see Muppets.
I
And
think that's the vibe of this whole thing is
I
like,
don't blame them, yeah.
the third time Ted Koppel's like, and now here's Kermit the Frog to explain budget deficits.
Yeah.
I'm just like, maybe, I think he's realizing in the moment.
No, this was a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a light. From what I can tell, we don't see much of the non-Muppet segments in this. It doesn't seem like a very light-hearted special.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what more of the special was like, and if it was like an attempt to spin it into something like the all the way around, something to not be worried about. But Ted does look concerned, so.
But he also always looks like that.
That's true. That, I guess, is kind of one of the jokes of Ted Koppel, huh?
Yeah. Which is his job, again, obviously.
Yeah, to
he's
be
a serious man.
news guy. Yeah, but there's non-serious newsmen they could have gotten. Maybe not back then. I don't know if you had your guys who are a little more tongue in cheek back then, but they probably did.
Yeah, I'm just like, from as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like there were other comedy bits
Other
happening
funny
throughout this.
things.
Like, it's not like Jerry Lewis showed up in the middle to be like explaining other stock market terms the Muppets didn't get to. So
I also wonder if they wanted to get the Sesame Street Muppets to do this, because that makes more sense.
That feels more condescending to me, though.
But then first of all, Sesame Workshop was like, no. And second of all, they thought, we're not talking to babies. But like thematically, it does make more sense for like Elmo to come on and be like, this is what this is, guys. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. As opposed to the Muppets, who are a little bit more like anti-establishment anyway. So when they're doing it, it is kind of like, there is kind of the implicit like, yeah, this is fucking stupid. Like,
do they sell out?
This is an evil system that we live in. And also the sellout thing where it is like, what? I don't know. What are you guys doing? I didn't really like these that much. I thought the one with Fozzie and Kermit was very funny because Kermit has told Fozzie to stack up $2 trillion bills to show people what it looks like. And he's like, well, it'll take 25,000 years and the stack will be 130,000 miles tall. And Kermit's very mad at Fozzie for this for some reason, though it is not Fozzie's fault. It is Kermit's fault. But I thought that one was good. And it is nice to see Jim and Frank, as I've said a million times before, do a thing. Just kind of a weird situation for them to be brought back together for.
Yeah, I guess it does feel like a bit of a sellout thing, but we have to remember they also did some PSAs back in the 60s for,
Yeah.
some other government agencies.
I mean, his goal was to sell out from the very beginning. So I'm not, for like the CIA, did he make he made
there was some
America's Cool videos, right?
Well, because there was something about like elections in a foreign country
Yeah,
and trying to
that's
like
right.
influence them in a certain way.
That's right.
Which was a little concerning.
That's right.
And there was something about like I don't know, housing and urban development or something like that. Like there was a housing one I remember.
Oh yeah, right.
So
there was a series of housing ones. Those were just regular commercials, I think, though. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Kermit explains the budget deficit and the national debt. This is when he's having Fozzie count $2.4 trillion. Notable, the current national debt is $35 trillion.
I was going to look that up, but 35 trillion?
Yeah.
So, okay.
More.
Yeah.
Much more. I'm not sure how tall that stack would be now. But bigger, it would go to the moon and back at least a couple times.
If 2.4 went halfway to the moon, then we'd be going back and forth to the moon a number of times. Yeah. I was surprised to see Fozzie again. That was kind of unexpected. Because when is the last time we even saw Fozzie?
See, Sam Eagle tripped me up more for that.
That too. Yeah, you really.
Sam, I feel like is one we like.
Mothballs.
Yeah, like maybe we wouldn't see him again until like Muppet Christmas Carol or something. Because.
Well, they'll all be back for Muppet Family Christmas, which I
True.
assume that they've already made at this point, or are getting ready to. They're in pre-pro.
I mean, they
for Muppet
must
Family Christmas.
have already made it,
right? So they got refreshed versions of these guys. They took them out and dusted them off.
Filming dates September to October 1987 is what I'm seeing on IMDb. So yes, they have already done it at this point. So that probably also was another reason they had Fozzie ready to go and
just
were thinking about him.
There. Yeah.
Ted Koppel asks Kermit to explain what the stock market actually is, and Piggy interrupts. I think this part is notable because she goes, Kermit,
yeah,
when will you be coming home?
That's right.
And he says, when the show's over.
They
live together.
He's living with Miss Piggy, but he's also going on dates with Dolly Parton. They got an understanding. Maybe Miss Piggy is like, if they look enough percentage like me, then you can indeed go on a date with them.
You can only date people who look almost exactly like me. But I thought that was an interesting little tidbit thrown in there, which is interesting because I think we'll also see in Muppets Family Christmas that their relationship is implied in that again as well.
Yeah, they're much closer. That in Muppet Family Christmas, from what I can remember, he's like genuinely wants her to be there and is worried about her and is trying to get her to come to the party.
Yes.
And she's being a little bit more of a weirdo about their relationship in that one. Or at least being more callous,
yes, more callous because she
got shopping to do.
Well, shopping, and also she was like, I think, modeling at the beginning or something like that.
Yeah,
like she's not focused on getting there on time.
Yeah.
Well, then we get the explanation of the bull market and the bear market, which is when Fozzie is there. I really, really liked the line from Ted Koppel where he says, Fozzie, it's a delight to have you with us.
He probably meant it too.
He probably did, not just his tone. But yeah, Fozzie actually does explain a bear market and bull market successfully.
You saying he actually does has made me realize that a lot of these descriptions are bad, which is another part of this that would be infuriating, is like, I actually do have to know what this stuff means. And Miss Piggy didn't let Kermit explain. So this is not helping me at all.
Yeah. Well, when he's done explaining, Ted Koppel says, so one would hope for a bull market to drive the bears out. And that's when a bull rushes in and drives Fozzie out of the room.
As you knew it was going to from the very beginning of the sketch, yeah.
And the last bit that we saw was Rolf and Lyle the dog explaining the term margin call with some apples.
Yeah, and Lyle drives me fucking crazy. And in a perfect world, I liked this partially because it felt like old Rolf, especially when he takes out the baseball bat and starts wailing on the apples.
Yes.
It felt like Jimmy Dean Rolf, and it made me think this would have been more fun if it had been a human co-host with Rolf. Or if it
Put
had
Ted
even
Koppel in the
been,
room, guys.
put Ted in there. In a perfect world, it's Jimmy Dean.
Yeah.
Jimmy comes back. He's like, Rolf, the country needs you, needs us now more than ever. And he's explaining to Rolf about the apples. And then Rolf is, beating him with the baseball bat and being a little scamp self. And all the people from the 60s are like, okay, I feel better because my TV hero has explained.
That's what you need. You need, like, maybe the Muppets or other celebrities should have been more calming.
That's right.
And not just explaining.
Yeah.
Like, getting into a bit more of like, guys, it's going to be fine.
But if anybody listening was there back then and remembers what it was like, I'd be curious to know if people were really freaked out or like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure, right? Like,
well, did anything happen bad afterwards?
I mean, I think probably a lot of people lost a lot of money.
Yeah, right. But I just don't know. Like, you don't hear about this one like you do about like the
Great
20th
Depression.
stock market crash and the Great Depression. Yeah. And I feel like we live through this kind of thing happening annually or whatever. It's just like everything is so elevated to emergency in our time that it's hard to think about like them making a 3-hour special about one bad day.
I think for me, I felt a little too much like Lyle in this moment, where no matter how many times Rolf was trying to explain this like borrowing against stocks thing and how much debt you're allowed to have, I was like, I also don't get it, Lyle.
Yeah, it's because Rolf didn't set down. He didn't lay a good foundation, and that's what another thing that bothered me about these is like he can explain to Lyle literally what buying on margin and margin call is, but what's I feel is important to know is why we are even doing any of this in the first place. Like, and maybe that's something that it's not in their best interest to explain why we're doing any of this in the first place, or it's just like it feels like it was written by a Wall Street guy or like co-written by a Wall Street guy who was just like, yeah, this is how we do it. That's just how we do it. And then nobody said, yeah, but we're in a pickle, and why do we do anything like this is never explained. It's just like maybe it is like the terms are described in a way that makes it feel like this is all perfectly normal, but it's not. I don't think the stock market's a perfectly normal thing, and I think it's like it would be helpful to just know like the history starting from the very beginning. What is going on over there? What are we letting these guys in suits screaming on the floor do?
Well, and maybe, we watched 8 minutes out of a 3-hour special.
And maybe they do.
So maybe there's more explained throughout.
Yeah.
But in the Muppet stuff we saw, and I don't even think we got to see all the Muppet stuff, actually.
It didn't seem like we did, yeah.
It seems a little out of order. And also on Muppet Wiki, it says that Grump from the Muppet Meeting films was in some of them.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't see him at all.
He seems like a Wall Street guy.
Or that he lost everything.
That's true. And then who's the other guy?
Leo?
Yeah, Leo's like, don't worry about it, Grump. But Leo, he came out on top of the whole thing. He screwed Grump out of all his cash.
Yeah. He said sell, sell, sell. And then
that's true.
Grump did not.
Yeah. Grump's got his diamond hands or whatever, Remember that? He's hodling.
No, what?
You don't know any of this.
No.
That's the GameStop stock thing.
No.
Hold on to it for as long as you can, yeah.
One of those things that when it started happening, I was like, I don't need to care about this.
Well, when you found out it was happening, it was too late. So that was the problem with that one.
Well, then jumping back to the September 25th, 1987, I guess Jim wanted to spend the day after his birthday making something.
He doesn't strike me as... Well, you know what? Actually, I take it all back. He does strike me as a big birthday guy because he likes to throw a ball, right?
Well, so we've talked about that a couple times. There's times, I think, where he does take like a vacation or something around his birthday. But then we've also, I think many times in looking at his journal, he's been taking big meetings and doing things like work-related. I think if he gets a chance to celebrate his birthday, he will. But if there's something more important coming up for work, he will do that instead.
It's not the most important thing in the world to him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the day before this shoot probably wasn't like a very relaxing day.
Probably not, but maybe he had time for a nice dinner or something the night before. Yeah. He's in New York. He's probably near his house, staying at home. So
and he's rich, so
and he's very rich. So but yeah, this pitch tape was written by Jerry Jewell and Bill Prady, and it was taped on September 25th, 1987.
They loved Bill Prady.
Yeah, he seemed to be like their go-to guy. I think he also helped write the Wall Street stuff, actually.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, looking through Bill Prady's IMDb, Bill, come on the show, because this is the man who wrote Muppet Vision 3D. He's writing a bunch of the stuff we're watching right now, and he's written 2 episodes of Gilmore Girls. So I feel like we'd have a lot to talk
Really
about with Bill
overlaps
Prady.
with our interests, yeah. And he would be talking to the #1 fan of the Muppet ABC Muppet Show, and Matt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if he needs a nice safe space to come talk about the 2015 Muppet series, this is it. Maybe he'd be offended though that we don't like Chip, because Chip is
I
supposedly
love
based
Chip.
on him. Oh, okay.
I
Well,
love
one of us
Chip.
hates Chip.
I think Chip's great.
But yeah, this starts off with Jim in the creature shop, surrounded by a bunch of small creatures, including Philo, who he pulls off of Dave Goelz's hand at one point to be like, this is just a puppet. This is one of those, much like, hey, we got Frank for the Wall Street special. What Frank characters do we want?
Mm-hmm.
This was, hey, we got Dave for the pitch reel.
Yeah.
What can we do with Dave?
Right. And they got Frank for the pitch reel too. This was they called out all the stops.
I mean, yeah, this could have been, and kind of is, the next big thing.
Right.
Well, we get Kermit coming in and talking to Jim via a dubbed line.
Yeah.
Really just to reassure TV networks that, yes, Kermit the Frog will be in this.
He will be making an appearance or two.
Kermit here is performed by puppeteer and puppet builder Rick Lyon,
Hmm.
who is known for a lot of things, but one of the main ones being that he conceived and designed the puppets for Avenue Q, and more recently was seen at New York Comic Con in the half Jim, half Frank cosplay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was him. If you haven't seen that, look it up. He was split down the middle. He was half Jim, half Frank, and he had both a Kermit and a Fozzie on his hands.
And he's really split down the middle.
Yeah.
That picture is disconcerting.
It's got half glasses on for Frank.
Yeah.
Well, then Jim starts to explain the concept for the show, saying the first week of the month would feature a hour-long episode of the Jim Henson Storyteller, which is not how long the Storyteller is.
I don't think we need an hour-long episode of the Storyteller, personally.
I don't think so either. I think that 23 minutes is fine.
Unless you're telling 2 stories, perhaps, but it's kind of a world best lived in briefly, in my opinion.
I would agree. But yeah, the original concept for the show was to have a rotating schedule of 4 different kinds of episodes, one for each week of the month. As we will get into once we start watching the Jim Henson Hour, it's not exactly how things unfolded.
I was curious about that, yeah.
It's more of a half and half type of thing. Like they do still show the Storyteller, but it's after half of an episode of other stuff. But yeah, we get to see a little sizzle reel of clips from the Storyteller, again, some of which we have not seen yet.
Because we've only seen 2 episodes, right?
Yeah, we got Hans my Hedgehog, and this week we watched Fearnot.
Hans my Hedgehog. One of the most beautiful phrases in the English language.
Hans my Hedgehog. Jim says for the second week of the month, they're going to do lead-free TV, which is just the inner tube show that we talked about previously.
They even, and then the theme song even says inner tube TV at one point. So
well, and it's pitched exactly the same way. Like we had talked about how when they filmed that pilot, they wanted John Candy to be their human guest, and they promised there will be human guests in this. And yeah, he mentions state-of-the-art special effects, where he is then interrupted by an explosion that is surprisingly close to his face.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
If you frame by frame this, it is sort of shocking how much the debris and sparks from this explosion just fly right into Jim.
Does he flinch?
A little bit, but not as much as you would think.
Not like when Jimmy Dean got exploded.
Yeah, this thing seems like, I don't know, maybe either bigger or closer than they anticipated it being, because the screen goes bright white Oppenheimer style for a second, and then you see the sparks just overtaking Jim's face. And I don't think it's a visual trick. I think it's in the room
on
with
his
him.
Birthday.
But that means Gonzo is here, who was responsible for the explosion because he heard the word special effects. But Jim was talking about computers.
I think this is a great little Gonzo segment. He was really in his element, I feel like. He felt like Gonzo. Like,
yeah.
And he did probably at the end of the Muppet Show too. I don't quite remember, but this is the Gonzo I know.
Jim teaches us about CGI by describing it as using state-of-the-art technology, we can create settings that exist only as electronic information.
Yeah, like this. Push one button
Boop.
completely. Yeah. I mean, That's what AI can kind of do, but not back then. Not back then. I'm sure the CGI artists were like, I worked for 2 months on that, and then Jim pretended like he did it with the push of one button.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but up on the shelf above his computer is a big old puppet of the worm from Labyrinth.
A big one? Oh, probably for like the
Yeah.
close-ups.
Yeah.
I didn't notice. I was looking at the big face from Labyrinth behind him on the door too much.
Oh yeah, like one of the knockers is on
Yeah.
is on the door. But yeah, we get to see a bunch of clips from what Jim calls the Muppet Show of the future.
Yeah, I don't think so, bud. If I was one of the executives watching these clips of inner tube / lead-free TV, I'd be like, Jim, you're gonna just have to put the characters from the Muppet Show in this, unfortunately. We're not gonna have these ugly guys on screen.
Yeah, I mean, when we watched Inner Tube, we were like, I get it why this didn't go to air. Like, I
It's
get why they
nothing.
didn't buy this.
Yeah.
And then he's still just using the same thing and being like, but what if we did some of the other stuff that you do like around the stuff you don't like?
Yeah. And then they do inner tube TV for an hour. No.
Yeah,
I
that
can't.
part is wild.
Yeah. That's not gonna work.
Well, the third week is to be a picture book special, which we get to see Animal here hanging out with Jim, reading apparently the children's book of the Tale of Bunny Picnic. But yeah, we get just a montage of Tale of Bunny Picnic, clips from Christmas Toy and Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, just to show off the sweet side.
So I guess I also am like, every month they would make something of the caliber of those specials is what they were thinking.
I mean, I guess, yeah. I guess
Yeah, that sounds
making Emmett Otter a
hard.
month is insane.
That sounds like impossible. But I guess he'd probably pitch it and then he'd be like, well, I need 2 years now. And we'll make,
I guess.
But that sounds hard.
That does. Now that you put it that way, it sounds extremely hard.
And an hour long. So yeah, they'd be making 3 different productions every year. And they'd have to make, whatever 50. Well, I guess the season would probably only be like 10 episodes or something. Like I don't know how many of these are actually making every year. But it's still, that's stretching yourself pretty thin.
Well, and if you think about it, as far as, the crew they don't have an unlimited sized crew.
Especially the talent and the voice, like the actual like on-screen people.
Right. So the idea is that every month you'd be producing one episode of The Storyteller, which seems pretty high budget, one episode of like an Emmett Otter, which seems like a lot of work, as well as a new show with a bunch of CGI in it, and then just whatever the fuck we want to do in the fourth week.
This is stressing me out. Okay.
Yeah. The more I'm like, you're going to have like 4 staffs.
Well, you'll have to,
time.
you'll have to grow your staff a ton.
Wow. It makes sense why they didn't go this way.
Yeah.
I think they still get pretty ambitious with the Jim Henson Hour, and I'm excited to watch it because I know very little about it, other than there's a big old lion there.
Yeah, the Muppet TV side of the Jim Henson Hour is something I can't quite picture what that looked like.
But we'll get to meet a bunch of new Muppets who will stick around for a while. So again, excited to see what that is like. But then we get to see Kermit hanging out again, gets scared by one of the animatronic devils from the Storyteller because
it was scary. His skin was off his little skeleton.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kermit's like, wait a minute, is that what I look like? Like, no, thankfully you're just a hand inside.
You are a skeleton. You are a human skeleton.
Yeah, you need to peel back a few extra layers to see the human skeleton hand inside of you. But yeah, Jim explains that one of the things they'll do on the Jim Henson Hour is show off the secrets of how things work. And this is one of the things they plan to do with their 4th week show, where apparently just anything can happen.
Yeah, and the way they portray that is just by showing clips of like all the movies they've made.
Well, and they also show right when he says anything can happen, a doozer rolls in and says, "Here's your coffee, Mr. Henson."
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I like seeing a doozer, but also I'm like, is that the most dramatic anything can happen moment?
It'd be fun if the doozers after Fraggle Rock kind of took a role of like the rats a little bit, where they're just like everywhere.
They're just hanging out.
The rats are more fun, I guess, in that role. But yeah, if they were like the serious rats who were like building stuff in the background all the time or something.
I'm curious about Jim's pitch for this 4th week because, like you said, they show a bunch of clips from just, they show a montage of the Muppet movie to Labyrinth to even Dream Child.
Yeah.
Set to the Talking Heads' Wild Wild Life.
That, yeah. This felt so much like I'm getting secondhand embarrassment because I was feeling like I was watching my dad, like not just a dad, but I
Yeah.
was feel like he in this clip, he like has an energy that reminds me so much of like when my don't listen to this, my dad. When my dad gets excited about something and he explains it, and like he would like my dad would put together a pitch reel and use like his favorite song, which would be kind of like a dorky song. And I like that song, but it
Yeah.
just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, Jim was like, let's fit this song in there. We got it, guys. And it's just like, what are you trying to do? I could have helped you with this pitch. I know I could have gone back in time and helped them with this pitch.
Well, it also just seems like the biggest like overpromise underdeliver scenario
Absolutely, yeah.
that like you're promising something on the caliber of Labyrinth or the Muppet movie for your
Yes.
fourth week
Don't
of the
show
month.
this stuff. Don't show this stuff. Yeah. Then this is something that, and then you go back to like your team of puppet builders and stuff, and they're like, "You sold what show? You didn't talk to. You should have maybe talked to some people before you did that, Jim."
Well, this won't be the last time we'll also have a Muppets Talking Heads crossover because
Oh yeah,
in
because Kermit
Muppets,
wears the big suit.
yeah, in
Right?
Muppets Tonight he performs once in a lifetime.
Yeah. I feel like that's a very famous picture of Kermit too, is like him wearing the big suit. There's like a promotional photo or something of him that I comes to my head when I think of Kermit pretty quickly.
One thing Jim notes, he says many of these shows will be set in the real world with a mixture of humans and puppets. He says we might do a mystery with Kermit and the gang, or a comedy about
Oh
an
yeah.
enchanted bowling ball, or a musical set in a spaceship with creatures unlike anything you've ever seen before.
No, that sounds. I mean, a mystery show with Muppets. That sounds interesting.
A comedy
With
about an
Kermit.
enchanted bowling ball sounds less interesting.
Yeah, he is trying to be, monkey cheese rando.
But yeah, the last thing of note in the pitch reel is that Piggy comes out to make sure that she'll also be included in the show. And yeah, I think because I know what the Jim Henson Hour actually does become, I'm excited to watch it. I don't think if I watched just this pitch reel that I would necessarily know what to expect. Maybe if I wasn't me in my current job,
Right.
I might be super stoked about the idea of getting an Emmett Otter every month and a Storyteller every month.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But like in real life, I'm just like, there's no way you're gonna pull this off.
You've made 3 Emmett Otters in the last 20 years. So.
Right.
And you made Muppet Show. You made a shitload of episodes of Muppet Show, so you can make something big, fast. But you can't make 4 things big fast. You have to have the same sets, and you have to have the same characters, and you have to have some of these reoccurring things.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm sitting there as an executive, knowing what I know about how this stuff works. My first note would be, we're not doing lead-free TV. There is no.
This one sucks. Get that out of here.
No way we're doing that. But yeah, I think it does. By the end of it, I am a little bit like, he just wants to do he just wants to do the Walt Disney thing, the Wonderful World of Disney, and he should, like, they should let him.
Yeah.
Nobody would be better at doing it than him. He just will need a lot of stuff to do it, and maybe hasn't thought it all the way through.
Yeah, he's gonna need like a year of lead time before these things can start to air.
Right, which he probably would have had. But
well, then getting into our main event of the week from October 26th, 1987, is the Storyteller episode Fearnot. Sam, what'd you think of Fearnot?
I kind of liked it. I liked it better than Hans my Hedgehog because it had less of the dream logic and the then this happened. And I went back and read through the fairy tale, just the Wikipedia rundown of it, and it's very different than the thematically. It's not different, but the things that happen are different in a way that it's like they took liberties to make it hang together like the kind of story a modern audience would expect, in a way that I wish they had done with Hans my Hedgehog. I wish they would have omitted some, like, then he turned into a crow. Some of the, because like it's just Beauty and the Beast, like it's a story people like to hear, but they just went too far with it, and by the end it had just like spun out of control. This one was great. The one thing I didn't like about it or that made me sad about it was that the storyteller didn't pop up in the story, because I really liked when that
Yeah.
happened in Hans my Hedgehog. I thought that was a fun moment. But I think I really like the big swings they take with this series, and the way things are framed, like Cabinet of Dr. Caligari or whatever, and the way that the little shadow people are like running around.
Yeah.
And it all made more sense this time to me, and maybe because I've already seen one, or maybe because they just did it better. But like the first time in Hans my Hedgehog, when like little shadow people would run out, it was kind of like, what the fuck is going on? But this time it kind of like naturally like grew into the surrounding.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, same. Loved it, especially compared to Hans my Hedgehog. Like,
Mhm.
if this is the way that the rest of the series goes, I'm way more excited to watch the rest of it
Yeah.
than I was when we watched Hans my Hedgehog.
Yeah. And like the special effects are amazing. The guy putting himself together was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Were there really that many puppets in this?
I mean, you got the big weird fish man.
The big weird fish man, he was great. I
Yeah.
loved the big weird fish man.
Big weird fish man's great. Great design. Kind of gross, but also kind of cute. Something I realized in watching it this time, and I went back to check that this also happened in the first episode. The storyteller in both of these stories is telling his story from inside of the castle that's in the story.
Wait. Which castle's? Oh, the creepy castle that the
half man bowling scene takes place in the same room that the storyteller is telling his dog the story in. And in the first episode, it is a different room with a different fireplace that the storyteller is talking to, but it is the same room where he is in talking to the king,
where the king
and queen.
lives.
Yes.
And the storyteller is there.
Yes. So in both of these, he seemingly is living in the castles now.
Yeah.
Years after the stories
right,
have finished.
Because Fearnot took place a long, long time ago to the storyteller. That's really interesting. I wonder if that is convenience or
only so long ago, because storyteller tells us at the end that Mr. Mackay told him that story when he was very young.
When he was a kid. Yeah, right.
So, maybe 70 years ago.
Right.
Mr. Mackay told him that story. So at most it happened, 40 years before that. So, maybe it's 100 years before the storyteller's telling us.
Yeah. Well, so they should have given Mackay a little sidekick kid, who at the end we discover is a little sidekick kid with big ears. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, so we see who I only want to call a Doggle, because he's just a dog version of Hoggle.
Dog Hoggle, yeah. Does he have a name, though?
I don't know. He might just be called Dog. I haven't heard him get a name so far.
Storyteller doesn't have a name either, so.
That's true. Maybe in the last episode, it'll be like, my name is Jerome Crystal. I'm curious about like if that'll continue with the storyteller being in the same space, or if this is a convenience thing where they're like, we're just using this set because we have it.
We have this castle. Right. So he falls down the big fireplace that the storyteller is telling the story in front of?
Yes. And this storyteller set is very similar, but a little different from the one in the first episode.
Okay.
Which could just be a thing that they built a lot of sets for the first pilot, and then they had to rebuild things, and it looks different now.
Right. That's what I would guess, but I guess we'll have to wait till another one.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he's still using that set throughout the story as well. But I was just like, did the storyteller kill everyone and take their castle from them?
Or he's living in a kingdom in decline or something. Like there is something odd going on with him, and like he's living in ruins for some reason. So it would be it's interesting to know, like it would be interesting to keep an eye out for if they fill in little bits and pieces of what's going on with him.
Well, and even the castle wasn't in the greatest shape when the half guy was in there anyways.
Yeah, it
had a moat full of human skulls.
They find it already fucked up, yeah.
Which
but
is
I guess you could,
a badass image. When they first show the castle with the moat full of human skulls, I was like, damn.
That rules. Yeah.
Notably, this was directed by Steve Barron, the music video director we've talked about previously, who directed the Labyrinth music videos.
And he directed Hans my Hedgehog, right?
Correct.
Okay.
But yeah, this is directed by the same guy and written by Anthony Minghella, who we also talked about, wrote that previous episode and is credited with writing the final scripts of all of the episodes of The Storyteller.
Huh.
Also wrote and directed The Talented Mr. Ripley, The English Patient, and Cold Mountain.
Oh, I'm sure you said that before, but still impressed.
Yeah, I think we brought that up before. Something I think we didn't bring up before is that he also at one point was working on a film called The Seven Deadly Sins, which was a screenplay that he wrote and was planning on making with the Jim Henson team, like Jim Henson Productions, over a 10-year time frame. He kept trying to make this thing happen. It would be a more serious, like, adult movie. It was going to be about a man suffering a spiritual crisis, faced with losing his wife and children to another man. He attempts to kill himself and is visited by the sins, anthropomorphized beings supplied by the creature shop.
Oh.
So this wouldn't have been like the fun sins from Sex and Violence. Those
or
would have been like
maybe
terrifying Dark Crystal style creatures, I think.
That sounds like a real downer of a movie. I'm glad we don't have to watch.
Yeah, well, they announced in 1991 that they were going to start working on it. And then throughout the 90s, they were like, all right, 93, we're still working on this. 96, still working on it. 97, I think we're going to finally get this made. And then in 2001, there was like a thing saying, yeah, we're still trying, but we haven't really made it yet. And that was the last, apparently, report on it. So it seems like 2001 was when it sort of, finally stopped. Well, I think the Storyteller has a little less special effects makeup than he did in the first episode, and Hoggle Dog looks cleaner.
Okay, I didn't notice that.
I went back and looked, and I know we had read, which is why I was looking for it, that like the look would change a little bit throughout the series. And I don't notice a huge difference in the Storyteller's look. I think maybe they just put a little bit less makeup on him, and like maybe he's not as jowly as he was in the first episode. And I think the dog literally just looks cleaner. Like it looked really gross and greasy in the first episode, and I think his hair is just a little bit fluffier now. But we start off with him scared of the spider until the Storyteller squeezes it between his fingers.
I guess what he really does, I thought for sure he was going to be like, here it is. Because that seems rude. I mean, I squish plenty of spiders, but this particular spider that the Storyteller was like, he's just a little guy. Kill.
But I mean, when it's your one and only friend, your dog, is deathly afraid of spiders.
I guess you'd do anything for him. But what if the spider could talk to, though?
I guess they didn't give it a chance. But then we start discussing fears. The Storyteller reveals that he is afraid of rats. And what I like about this is this feels just like Doc and Sprocket.
That's what I thought too. Like everybody's afraid of rats. Yeah, he's being very Doc-like in this. He's being a hypocrite and a coward. Two key components of Doc's personality.
Well, and it's such a better like transition into the story than last time. Like this feels just more natural, where they're talking about fears. They both get a little afraid of rats, and he's like, "How about I tell you a story?"
Yeah,
about a boy who
has like the dog sitting on his lap, and they're both like scared of the dark. It made me feel bad for them and whatever situation they're in, because obviously they're like lonely or something.
I mean, in the last one, we learned he got invited to the wedding of the hedgehog. So,
but that was a long time ago,
as far as we know, I guess. But I went back and I did check out the beginning of Hans My Hedgehog again, because I was like, I know we didn't love the way they got into the story. And going back and looking at it, it's because he just starts telling the story right away.
Right.
And then we're in the bedroom of the mother and father trying to conceive the hedgehog.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, what's happening? Where are we? Why is this?
And that one is even more like using visual special effects and shorthand and stuff to like really bust through the beginning of the story, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And is a little bit more like discombobulating.
Yeah, but this one, I think, like you mentioned, the silhouette things throughout, the special effects work extremely well and really connect the storytelling with the story in ways that I think in the first one, they do that a few times. But I feel like we theorized that it was because of budget reasons that they couldn't think of a better way to do it.
Yeah.
I think we were saying like, oh, they couldn't make that look good, So they just filmed it on a green screen and figured it out later.
Yes, and this time it feels much more purposeful, and I never had that thought of it's for budget, which it probably didn't hurt the budget, but like
but they
when
had
they're
to
talking
be
about the pond, the
right,
little silhouette characters are sitting on the dog bowl, and
which
like in
has
the
to be
last,
really intentional and filmed correctly to make that work well.
and in the last one when they're like, and then the gravel hog walked off, he's like walking over a pile of broccoli, and it's just like, why broccoli?
Yeah. But yeah, this story that he's going to tell us this time is about a boy who set forth to learn what fear was because he wasn't afraid of anything. The storyteller says that this boy was the second son of the second cousin of his second wife's second niece, who died and left her husband, a tailor, 2 sons. It's intentionally confusing, but he mentions that he had 2 wives.
It's true. Another little bit of, maybe his second wife left him in ruins. All she left him was the fucked up castle.
Oh man, what if the last episode is like him telling the story of this guy whose wife left him, and he's like, and that's when I met you, dog.
And here we are. It just zooms out into their big empty room. I'm like, okay. Matt, that actually happens in the Storyteller. He tells a story about himself, and in it he claims to have met, and he talks about his wife who marries and leaves him for a beggar.
Wait, this is gonna happen in an episode?
Yep, it sure is.
Well, look at us. We're so
You're a
smart.
genius, yeah.
Well, this story is about one good son and one good for nothing son, who they named Fearnot, I guess, because they knew from birth that he wasn't going to be afraid of anything.
I just feel like the dad isn't applying his son's power correctly. If you have a fearless son, you shouldn't say, "You piece of shit,"
or
you should
go buy buttons.
Yeah, you gotta, apply that fearlessness. And he obviously knew about it. I think. Well, he named him Fearnot, for crying out loud. So he knew about it from a young age. But I was a little. The only part of this I was a little unclear on is like the him being like a lazy guy. I guess he just is lazy. Anybody can be lazy.
I felt like I related to Fearnot a little bit in this moment, is because I don't think he's lazy. I think he's extremely forgetful. And it felt like some of my worst ADHD moments where I walk into a room and someone's like, "Where's the thing that you just left the room to get 5 minutes ago?" And I'm like, "Oh,
that's true."
So what happened was I left the room. I did 5 other things I didn't plan on doing. And I came back feeling accomplished because I did 5 things. But in reality, I did not actually do the thing that you asked me to go do.
The important thing to do. Yeah, and I suppose it's kind of also like he's like gets so interested in everything that happens to him that he forgets what he's supposed to be doing. I suppose makes sense, as from the outside world, people would see that as like useless. Or
right, like if you're asked to do one thing and you just don't.
There's one thing he can concentrate on, and that's that smoking hot babe he plays the fiddle for.
Lydia, his sweetheart.
I guess when you're down that bad, also, it's hard to focus on some stuff, too.
But yeah, when Fearnot returns home after violining for his sweetheart and not buying buttons, his brother, the good one, is played by Mark Williams, who played Mr. Weasley in the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, wow.
But what we learn about him, the only scene we see him in, is that he is super afraid of everything.
Yeah, which is not really commented upon. He just is a coward.
Yeah, I feel like there's maybe some things in the fairy tale that are more thoroughly explained. But I think because this story is, I think, told a little better and it's just more entertaining and engaging, I don't mind those moments as much as I did in Hans the Hedgehog, which I feel like we had a lot more questions about of why is this happening? Why would they do that? Why did they say that? Like throughout most of this, honestly, like the Mr. Mackay Fearnot, agreement is murky to me. I'm not really sure what's going on. And at the end to just be like, and then they both got a lot of gold and one of them doesn't want to meet his family. I'm like, sure.
That part made sense to me. He's just he's a bit of a rascal.
Well, it seems like he's gonna scam him when they first meet. And then he just, I guess, turns out to be an okay guy.
Once you got enough money, you don't have to scam people anymore. That was one of my favorite parts of it, actually, was that like he was scamming him right in front of Fearnot's face, and Fearnot
Right.
knew it, because like he would just like take the little money pouch, or when he went inside to stay the night at the castle, Mackay was like, if you leave me alone out here with all this treasure, I'm gonna steal all your treasure.
Yeah.
So you
Well, he
better
even
come
admits
back
to it
out so I
later.
don't steal all this treasure.
When he's like, how many gifts did I have? He's like, well, I counted 74, but then I ate 2.
I ate a couple
so...
of them, yeah.
Before we meet Mackay, though, Fearnot goes out to get more buttons for his dad, because his dad really wants these buttons.
He's a tailor. It's his bread and butter. You make a
guess
shirt.
so,
You don't have
that's
any
true.
buttons. You don't got a shirt. You have got a robe.
This feels like his, like, you know, he should have thought about this earlier. Like,
He's
you don't
needed to
wait
have
until
more
you're
buttons.
out of buttons.
Before the middle of the night.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. He went to the all-night button store.
Yeah. It's like finding out you're out of toilet paper in the middle of the night. Like, you should have,
Oh.
you know, maybe kept an eye on that earlier.
I suppose. I mean, the buttons is even worse to me than the toilet paper. Because sometimes your toilet paper's in a drawer or something, and you're not, you know, a cupboard. You're not thinking about your toilet paper as much as a guy who's sewing buttons all day. You'd look at the button and be like, I got 5 buttons left. I'll be fine. That's one more shirt. How many shirt buttons are on it?
You got more than 5, I think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons.
Oh, no, you're 1 button short.
This guy's screwed.
Well, while he's out getting buttons a second time, some guys jump out to scare him for some reason that I don't remember.
They just thought it would be fun, I think.
Yeah, they stack themselves up on top of each other and put on a skull for a mask, and they call themselves a Wordle.
That's where they got the idea.
I wrote that in my notes that you were.
You know
gonna
what the
say
thing that makes me I think I heard this somewhere else, but the thing that makes me maddest about Wordle, the word Wordle, it's not 5. It's not 5 letters.
Oh,
Don't you think it should be?
That would be very clever. Yeah,
but it's not. Anyway, so this guy's called the Wordle too.
Yeah, but with a U.
Fearnot just smashes him in the face with the buttons. And actually the dad, so he comes back having smashed the Wordle with the buttons and spilled all the buttons. And then the dad's like, gives him a bunch of money and says, get out of here and go learn something, which is also a little confusing to me.
Yeah.
I think in the original story, I think it's played up more that he's actually stupid. Like he's just a dum-dum.
Right.
And he's too stupid to be scared of anything. But in this, he's not too stupid to be scared of anything. He's just not scared of anything.
Right.
So he brings it to himself to be like, the thing I'll learn is how to be afraid. But they're not really like a motivation for that.
No, because yeah, like ultimately he's not necessarily winning by becoming afraid. Like at the end, he just becomes afraid when his sweetheart is dying, but that doesn't solve his other problems.
He's obsessed with his wife.
Oh, yeah. Big obsessed with his wife energy. Fearnot's a big wife guy.
Yeah, that doesn't solve his problems. He still doesn't have a trade. Fortunately, he is extremely rich now, though.
Yeah,
so
he's just got all the money in the world.
We can learn here, yeah.
Well, yeah, Fearnot does set out to learn fear and immediately runs into a guy that we learn is Mr. Mackay, who's trying to scam him into buying a scarf. But then that's when Fearnot gives him the offer. I'll give you all I can if you can teach me what fear is. And then we get, I think, maybe my favorite moment of this entire thing is showing that you mentioned that Fearnot is just, it's not that he's just too dumb to be scared.
Yeah.
But he is actually like humorously not afraid of things.
I loved that aspect of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Mackay puts a spoon up to his throat pretending it's a knife. And he's like, it's a sharp knife. Slit a hair clean in 2. Slit a throat without touching the sides. And Fearnot just goes, that's a good knife then.
That must be a good knife. Yeah, that was my favorite part too. It also reminded me of Knifey Spoony from The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, I just loved that. Like tells you so much about his character in that moment.
Yeah.
Where he's just like happy for Mackay. And it's like, you got a great knife. Good job, dude.
The fact that he wasn't just bumbling into and out of situations made him such a better, more interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that he was like, he's like Bugs Bunny kinda, but because he's like in control of every situation, and this big bully's trying to like kick him around. He's not quite as willfully malicious as Bugs Bunny is, though he does murder that man who's cut in half. But yeah, just that like trickster spirit is inside of him that I really appreciated.
It's more of a Forrest Gump.
That's right. That's right.
Like he's not always making the active choice to
Yeah.
solve the problem. He just
Yeah.
happens to be the right kind of person in the right situation,
That's true. That's
and
right.
that solves the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Forrest Gump would also say, that's a great knife then.
Yeah. As Lieutenant Dan threatens his life in the middle of the Vietnam jungle.
So he's the Venn diagram of Bugs Bunny and Forrest Gump. That's Fearnot.
Well, Mr. Mackay says, you know what? I'll take you to a scary pond to terrify you.
Just the word pond is so not scary. It's like, this isn't going to work, bud.
Yeah. But this immediately, I don't know, the creepy vibes are much better than the vibes of Hans my Hedgehog.
Yeah, totally. This pond is great. The special, just like, I love this era where you can do a special effect that looks like a special effect and is like, you know that it looks like a special effect, but it still is getting the idea across that you want it to.
Right.
And this is the ladies floating in the lake. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't make an effort to make it look super realistic. It's just like
Right.
superimposed clear broads floating around in the water. But,
Wow.
but
You can't say the word broad.
but it gets the idea across so well, and it's just so stylistically like, that's nice. And people don't do that anymore. Everything's CGI.
Well, these sisters of the deep appear in the pond, seemingly like sirens, tempting people to come into the pond, where then their dad fish alien guy
I don't
can
know.
drown them.
I don't know. Is he just their friend? Is he just like, we got an agreement? They like singing and people like coming in the water after him, and I love drowning people. So
yeah, his exact words are, "These are my pretties. They tempt young men like you, and I drowned them."
Yeah.
To which Fearnot says, "Why?" And he says, because.
That was really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah. I think the line, I also like
no one's ever asked me why I drown people. I just do it.
That was the first crack in his like, I guess I'll move to Ireland to become a folk musician. Yeah, that's great. I love the line also, they have two jobs, drowning men and drowning women. Yeah, this part was stronger than the guy cut in half part, I think. Because you can't really like revolve a scary story around bowling. But yeah, and this creature looks so cool. He reminds me of the guy from Star Wars who's got the three eyes on stalks, who's got like a cow head. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know who you're talking about.
Big cow head guy.
Yeah, cowhead Star Wars guy. Let's see if that works at all. It did.
Of course it did.
Reese. But yeah, he's got like glowing lights on top of his fish head. He has a catfish face, but then also sort of like a frog-like body. I don't know.
He's just great.
Very good design. But he does decide, you know what? I like Yap music so much. You tell me it's from Ireland. I am going to leave this pond and stop drowning people and go to Ireland.
Such an amazing... I mean, anybody can turn their life around. It's a beautiful story.
All you got to do is stop drowning people.
Yeah. I don't know if this part is funny on purpose or what, but I was cracking up this whole time when he just was like pulling himself out of the pond. He's like, I'm walking to Ireland. It's just such
I think it's funny on purpose.
It's such a great way to end this situation that is not killing him. It's just saying, go to Ireland. He's kind of like Kermit the Frog in a way, isn't he? Because he meets a man in the swamp. And in the swamp says, hey, I know what you ought to do. You ought to go apply an entertainment trade somewhere else. So he goes off and he rides his little bike to Ireland, and on the way, he meets Sasquatch, and they become best friends.
Yeah, it's a whole other side movie of Sasquatch and
Sasquatch
Fishman.
and a harpy or something, and the Hound of the Baskervilles, and they all roll into Ireland, and everyone goes, ah, ah, ah.
And that's what Banshees of Inisherin is about.
Yeah.
Well, we see Fearnot is celebrated as a hero by the people, presumably because enough of them were getting drowned regularly. They're like, oh shit, this is great.
Just put a sign up. Don't go near this pond.
But Mr. Mackay finds a map, apparently, or at least has the route to find some more terrible creatures that need to be dealt with.
An interesting concept introduced here where he was like, where the storyteller's like, and then people come and start telling him about other monsters that are in other places. It's kind of a good. That's like what The Witcher is basically, I guess. Is just like
it becomes
a
sort of
guy
like a
who ain't
superhero.
the guy who ain't scared of nothing, going around kicking asses of fairy tale creatures.
But this is when he takes him to the castle with a moat full of skulls that would make a hell of an album cover.
Yeah. I don't know how this man cut in half made a moat full of skulls, or if he even did, or
Maybe he's a really bad bowler, and
and
those
they're all just
skulls
flying
keep
out
just
the
flying
window.
outside. Yeah.
That's probably what it is. It's a really innocent explanation. He's just finding these skulls.
That's just
too.
the gutter.
He's not making the skull. Yeah, that's right.
I'm not convinced he's not making them.
I guess he is cutting people in half and stealing their legs. So
Yeah, and the
that.
upper half has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, in the castle, he does find a man who has been split into two, crawling around on his arms while he waits for his legs to catch up. He looks, if you need to imagine him, exactly like Danny DeVito's penguin.
Oh, yes, he sure does. You're right.
But just the top half of Danny DeVito's penguin.
Yeah, the hunched kind of, prosthetic body thing.
Man, I know this will never happen, and this is not on topic at all, but I want another Batman movie where like we get a Danny DeVito playing the penguin again in some sort of multiverse situation. Because he was so good in that movie.
Really, really good.
That I just want more.
You want the penguin from the new Penguin show to meet Danny DeVito penguin and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't think I deserve this name anymore.
Yeah.
You look way more like a penguin than me.
Yeah, and everybody in Gotham who calls
you got flippers, what the fuck?
Yeah, all the other guys who call him the penguin are like, yeah, you're right. We're just gonna call you Oz from now on.
Yeah,
we're so sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Penguin Man.
Actually, come to think of it, you don't look anything like a penguin.
But yeah, much like a troll with a bridge and having some fairy tale rules, this man introduces us to the concept that in order to get out of here alive, you must bowl against him and win bowling. Otherwise, you're going to lose your legs.
He's just lonely. He's got a hobby and nobody else he knows wants to do it with him. So he took desperate measures. I just had a really good idea for something like Saw, where somebody like really wants to play board games or like Dungeons and Dragons or something, but none of his friends will play with him. So he has to kidnap people to play and chain them up and make them play board games with them.
I think that's how my wife feels anytime she's invited to a board game night.
Is that she is chained up and having to play?
that is a Saw like scenario where she's like, "Dear God, why do I have to do this?"
It's like you either have to kill your husband or play board games. She's like, let me think about that one for a minute.
Well, they are bowling with pins that are made of femurs, and the ball is a human skull.
I don't think I would be scared either. I think I'd be like, you are trying too hard, cut in half guy. This is not scary.
Be a good Halloween decoration though, to have like a bowling lane set up in your
that would be really cool
front yard with femurs and a human skull.
I was also picturing like the crypt keeper falling out of the chimney, being like, you have to bowl with me. Bowel, he'd call it bowling or something though,
Yeah.
And then Fearnot would be like, what are you saying? Bowling.
Well, Fearnot has a secret weapon. This part is wild.
Yeah.
He decides, how am I going to beat this guy? Well, you know what? Your bowling ball isn't quite smooth enough for me.
Yeah.
Because it's a human skull.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to pop it into this lathe I just found somewhere and wear down the edges of this human skull you've just handed me.
So this part is in the original fairy tale.
Really?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. He's bowling with a creature, and he smooths the bowling ball down into a better ball and then wins bowling. So
is the ball a human skull?
Yep.
Okay.
It sure
That's
is.
the part that trips me out, where I'm like, you just took a human skull and popped it in a lathe.
Yeah. And you didn't even like the face part of the skull is really the part that's going to mess you up. And you didn't do anything about that.
The jaw is going to be rough. Like he just kind of smoothed the top of the cranium, which is the most ball-like part.
It's kind of freaking me out to talk about.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not good.
I don't like the idea of just grabbing a skull so willy-nilly.
That was a person. You know what? Sometimes I get sad when I see those giant Halloween skeletons that are like the 9
That
feet
was
tall
just a
ones.
tall person.
Yeah, because I'm like, who was that? What happened to
It was one of the
him?
muffler men.
Oh no, it was. Or like a Paul Bunyan roadside
Yeah.
attraction died.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those muffler men that existed along Route 66, they
Oh
just took them
no,
and
they
skinned
take
them
them and take all
alive.
their skin off. Oh, Matt, that is what it is.
Home Depot, they have the tools to do it.
You're right.
Well, there's a little confusion in this moment, I'd say, where Fearnot bowls. He bowls the guy like off of his legs,
Hits him in the legs, falls off. Yeah.
and we just sort of crossfade away from this as like, and then he won bowling.
Yeah.
So he decides to settle down for the night in the castle, and then he sees a lump over to the side and goes to investigate. And then he sees Mr. Mackay, who he thinks is dead.
Right.
He's very cold and he's sad. And so he brings him to the fire to warm him. And then suddenly Mr. Mackay becomes the evil half man that he just defeated in bowling.
Right. Tries to strangle him to death.
They try to strangle each other. They wrestle a bit to the ground. And then the evil man just vanishes and dissolves.
Yeah, like hits his head, turns into a skeleton for a second, and then is gone.
Yeah. So that part I'd say was a little confusing about what exactly was happening and how he defeated that man. But again, because this thing is just told well and entertaining, I didn't really care.
Was it like, wasn't it enough to beat him at bowling? I think Mr. Mackay could have been a different creature or something, you know?
Yeah. I think it's just weird that like it's hard to pinpoint the moment he sort of defeated that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
the guy cheated a little bit, I think.
Right. Like, okay, if he beat you at bowling, you should, I guess, leave in shame.
That was
leave
the
your
rules,
legs behind.
Yeah. Don't you understand how fairy tale monsters work?
Yeah, like you were defeated. So then to disguise yourself as the guy's best friend and then be easily defeated by just dropping to the ground a little bit is kind of weird. But then Mr. Mackay, the real one, comes in and Fearnot threatens him, thinking he's probably the evil guy in disguise again. But after a few quiz questions, Fearnot realizes, no, this is the real Mr. Mackay.
Yeah, no one else is this craven and cowardly.
I have a pretty big issue with this moment in the special.
Why?
I think Fearnot is afraid.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Because I think he is too. He's afraid that his friend is a different guy.
He's holding a knife to him and threatening him. Like, no, I know who you are. You're the guy. You're not Mr. Mackay.
Dude. You're right. This whole situation has him freaked out.
When this happened, I was like, aha, this is the moment when he is realizing fear.
But it was not recognized as such. No.
They're like, no. It's not. I promise.
Uh-huh.
He's fine. He's cool.
He didn't shudder. And that is
the
baseline he's set for himself.
But if you're standing in the middle of the room with a knife threatening somebody, you're afraid.
Yeah, there's fear. That's a fight or flight response, which is a fear response.
Mm-hmm. So that's my biggest qualm with this, is that I do think he was scared.
Yep.
But they wander around the castle up to a room higher up in the castle where they just discover a giant room of gold, which they agree to share 50-50.
Yeah. Love when people find big rooms of gold and then they don't have to work anymore.
And then we cut back to the storyteller. And this is when I was a little confused because I was like, oh, so he was afraid. They're not going to shine a light on it, but, problem solved. But then the dog, says to the storyteller, so he never learned to shudder.
They had to set new stakes for...
Yeah.
They had to
like,
really
I thought we were done.
home.
I was like, okay, cool. He's going to return home, whatever. He's happy. He learned how to be afraid. We're good. But no, they return to Fearnot's house. Mr. Mackay, I'm not sure why, doesn't want to meet Fearnot's family.
Because families don't... This part makes sense to me. He's just a little creep.
Yeah, he says, families don't like me.
Yeah, it's like White Fang. He's White Fanging him, He's like, get out of here. But he's White Fanging himself.
He also hands Fearnot a bag that says it's for his father. I assume it's buttons, but we don't get the payoff for that.
It's the money that he stole. He at various times in the special has been taking that money purse off of him, like pickpocketing it. And then he's like, I got to give this back to you because you owe it to your dad. I'm not going to leave
the
you
original
high and dry.
40 shillings he was sent out with.
I'm rich now, so I don't need your 40 shillings and your dad. You didn't live up to your dad's wishes.
Well, then he finds out his sweetheart Lydia swooned when he left.
Swooned
and
hard. She
nothing
swooned all
can
the way
revive her.
down. Yep. She
He
loves
does-
this Mary and Pippin looking motherfucker.
He does look like one and or both of them.
He is a hobbit. He's a hobbit, man, for sure.
Very hobbity. It turns out, though, this is the moment where Fearnot learns fear, because he is sad at the thought of losing Lydia,
Ooh,
which wakes her up,
my wife's dying.
and he's
Poor
like,
baby.
"Oh, cool. Can we get married now?" And they do.
Because I'm rich.
Yeah.
The moral of the story is being afraid when you're poor is different, and not being afraid when you're poor is bad, and being afraid when you're rich is good.
Well, and also it's interesting that I feel like they had to sort of balance the scales, because at the beginning of this story, no one likes this dude. Like, he's getting
Right.
yelled at by Lydia's dad. He's being picked on by the bullies in town. But then his fear, or lack of fear, turns him into a hero when he defeats the drowning fishman.
Oh, right.
And so the town then reveres him, and they're like, "Oh, thank goodness, you're a hero."
You ain't scared. Yeah.
And when he comes back at the end, Lydia's dad, is stoked now that he's back. And it's like, hey. But what they don't know is that his power is gone probably now.
That's right.
Like, presumably, I think once you've learned fear, maybe he just knows fear from now on, and he won't be able to go defeat any more monsters.
No more monsters to be killed. Yeah.
But he
that's a
does
funny
have
thing.
$1 billion.
He's really rich now, so he doesn't have to go kill any more monsters.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
a funny thing to like make fun of somebody for anyway, of being like, haha, you're not scared of anything. Fuck you.
You remember, I don't know if you ever saw these, as a kid, I remember watching things like Sally Jesse Raphael or Ricky Lake Show or something like that, and they would have like little kids on who couldn't feel pain.
Oh, that sounds so familiar.
And it's this thing where at first you're like, whoa, I can't feel pain. That's awesome. But their lives were hell.
Yeah.
Because they would just break an arm and not know it.
Or, I mean, I think even probably smaller things than that. Like,
yeah, like if you get a cut and it doesn't hurt, you're just like, yeah, it's fine. And then you're bleeding out.
Yeah.
But this is what that reminded me of when it was like, he can't fear anything. He just doesn't have a fear.
I suppose if you don't have your wits about you, that could be bad. But
like Mackay could have just slit his throat if he actually had a knife.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he could have just robbed him
if
he wasn't a slightly nicer guy. But that does it for the Storyteller. An episode I think that turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I really liked both. I liked Fearnot and I liked Mackay a lot. I felt like they had really good arcs and were very distinct, interesting characters in a way that the hedgehog guy Hans, in a way that Hans was not. Hans kind of turned partway into like the Beauty and the Beast guy from not that, just like kind of randomly. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was great. I don't think it needs to be an hour long. I think Jim needs to revisit that idea. And it never becomes an hour long, does it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it stays this short, and I think it eventually will become the second half of the Jim Henson Hour.
You risk running into a Hobbit situation where you have to stretch a very simple story into 3 movies, and it just is boring.
Yes. The next time we will revisit the Storyteller, though, will not be until about February for us, I think.
Uh-huh. Is that a Jim Henson Hour thing or no? Not yet.
No, not yet. This is just the next episode happens in January of 1988, which means we've got some Sesame Street and Muppet Babies to finish before we get there.
So these would just come on TV sometimes, just randomly?
I think so, yeah.
Huh.
And the next one, it does seem like, is the one about the Storyteller.
Oh, about him getting divorced.
Yeah. For now, though, Sam, it's time for me to ask, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
I watched this movie called The Kid Detective, which I'd never heard of before. And it came out in 2020, which is probably part of why I never heard of it before. Bad time for a movie to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And it stars Adam Brody. And the concept of it sounds so stupid or like so like eye-rolly. It is, what if Encyclopedia Brown grew up and like never stopped solving crimes, but like also never grew up also at the same time. Like
Gotcha.
Arrested Development, child detective, who's kind of a loser, and the whole town's like, you can't just solve little crimes for quarters forever. But it's this kid who was a child detective in his youth, and something really bad happens that kind of like spins him off. It's like his biggest unsolved mystery ever, and he's just like really stuck on in that part of his life because this really bad thing happened that like suddenly made him realize that like, oh, the real world is out there and bad for a kid detective. But it's not like pessimistic like some of those like dark versions of this childhood favorite is. It's funny.
Right.
It's like a funny movie, and Adam Brody's really good in it. Like I was shocked how good he was in it. And yeah, I just something I'd never even heard of, and we just randomly like I think Rachel had heard of it and I wanted to watch it. We were just like, okay, but I really highly recommend it. It was very good, and the whole time I was like, if this had been a television show that ran for like 5 seasons, I would love this. Would be like one of my favorite television shows of all time. It's dark, so if you're not in the mood for something that is dark, it doesn't turn dark till partway through, but it does get a little dark. But overall, it's like pretty fun. How about you?
I've been obviously still playing Ghost of Tsushima.
You got to finish it, Matt. It's been too long.
So close.
Okay.
I am definitely. I'm in sort of the epilogue of the game at this point. But the other thing I wanted to bring up, because we've talked about it, is new foods.
Oh, okay. What is it?
So one is the Shirley Temple 7-Up.
Yes, I meant to ask you about this. Was it good?
It's delicious.
I gotta go. Where'd you get it?
I got it at Yolks.
Okay. I've never seen. I looked for it, but I've never found it.
Tasted very much like a Shirley Temple. Very good.
I love Shirley Temples.
The other thing, which I'd say, don't rush out and get, but I saw and was like, I gotta try these guys. Was the King's Hawaiian Soft Pretzel Bites.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's just a little bucket of King's Hawaiian rolls that are like pretzel-y and salted.
I would like to try that because I feel like a pretzel's bite is part of the appeal of a pretzel that maybe you're missing with the King's Hawaiian roll.
You would be correct. This has less of a pretzel bite and more of a King's Hawaiian bite.
The fun of a pretzel's are a little harder to eat than your normal bread.
Yeah. I'd say it's a perfect middle ground between the two as far as the bite goes.
Okay, so then I would also say that the fun of a King's Hawaiian roll is that they're easier to eat than your normal bread. So they become just normal bread.
Maybe, kind of. Yeah, they're not remarkable in any real way. They're fine. I grab one occasionally when I walk into the kitchen and I see them. I'm like, hey, I'll take one of those.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty small and bite-sized. So, yeah. But it's just
when you
some
saw
weird
it,
foods.
When you saw it, did you get a little thrill in the store?
Oh, yeah.
That's
this was the same
part of the
shopping trip, Sam.
For the Shirley Temples and the King's Hawaiian?
And I didn't plan on buying either of them. I was just at the grocery store for actual real groceries. And it was one of those where you walk in, you're like, I don't need a basket. I'm only here for two small things. And then suddenly I'm walking around the grocery store with a 12-pack of pop under my arm and then a tub of soft pretzel bites and then the stuff I actually came for.
Everybody's looking at you and they're in shame and you're shamed.
Yeah, you have to dump it out onto the thing. Like, I'm sorry.
Or like the worst thing ever is like when somebody who works there is like, do you need a basket? No, fuck you.
Well, nobody even asked me.
Yeah.
It would have been clear, though, that I did need a basket because there was definitely some balancing happening there. But yeah, they also...
I'm really happy for you.
Like the Shirley Temple 7-Up I already knew existed, and I kind of was wanting to try that. I walked into Yolks, and they had like this big cardboard stand setup thing with just like 80 King's Hawaiian soft pretzel bite buckets.
Beautiful.
And I was like, I gotta do it.
Nobody could resist this. I have a spiced Sprite, the cranberry Sprite, waiting for me upstairs. I never tried it before. I know that I've done it a bunch of years, but I never tried it before. I'm a new Sprite convertee, so
I still haven't tried the Sprite Chill, But
I can't find it anymore.
I
It was
saw a
supposed
12
to
pack
be
somewhere the other day. I think at
Okay,
Rose
good.
Hours, getting real
Okay.
local Missoula references here.
because it was supposed to be a forever flavor, but I haven't seen it all the places I used to buy it. But
You can get it at Rose Hours in Missoula on
Yeah.
South Reserve Street.
That and the
everyone.
spiced
if
Coke.
you're in the market for some Sprite Chill.
The spiced Coke was supposed to be forever too. You know what I really want? I wonder if they've ever made this spicy Dr. Pepper. I think that would be
It kind of is
delicious.
spicy.
I know, but even spicier. Just a little kick on your Dr. Pepper. Or like just
24
push
flavors.
push the cinnamon real far in the Dr. Pepper. You hear me, Dr. Pepper?
Come
I think that will
on.
make me happy finally. Like you're chewing, like when you chew cinnamon gum and drink Dr. Pepper. That's what I want.
Ooh.
Doesn't that sound great?
That sounds great. Oh man. Yeah, I feel like Dr. Pepper is one of those, it's definitely my favorite soda by far.
Yep.
And whenever they mess with it, I'm like, you don't need to do that.
Yep, I agree. I don't mess with the cream soda Dr. Pepper or whatever. Like
Or there was a
the
cherry one.
Dr. Pepper. It already has a little cherry flavor in it. It doesn't need anything else. It's perfect. That's all. Dr. Pepper is also one where it's like when you say Dr. Pepper is your favorite soda, and people are like, it is. Kind of judgmental. But Dr. Pepper is one of the best. It's like second place best after Coke. Sometimes first place depending on what you're feeling.
They apparently made a limited edition Dr. Pepper Hot Take, which was fiery pepper taste.
Oh,
not cinnamon.
I can taste the vegetal pepper that I think they're talking about in my head. And
But you know
it's
what
not quite what I'm looking for. But
you know what might satisfy this craving that I am seeing plenty of people online do, Sam?
What?
A nice little fireball in Dr. Pepper.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay, I like that. Or a hot Dr. You ever seen the hot Dr. Pepper video?
Yeah, you can make hot Dr.
Make
Pepper,
some
and
hot
apparently
Dr.
back in like
Pepper.
what the 60s or whatever, that was a thing that they encouraged.
Put a cinnamon stick in your Dr. Pepper. That's my hot holiday tip for everybody. Because I think at this point that this is coming out, we're getting pretty close to December.
Yeah, this will be coming out about the last week, or actually right around Thanksgiving.
So you guys, after your Thanksgiving dinner, go heat up some Dr. Pepper and put a cinnamon stick in it. Take a big sip.
And send us a photo of your disgusted family members being like, what the hell are you doing to our Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah.
Well, before we get out of here, I gotta let everyone, including Sam, know what we're watching next time. Because next time, we're going back to the nursery for 3 more episodes of Muppet Babies Season 4.
Okay, I'll be brave.
You gonna be okay?
I think, what are they called?
So we're dipping into November of 1987 with My Muppet Valentine, Invasion of the Muppet Snackers,
Okay.
and Twinkle Toe Muppets.
Oh, God. These sound horrible. Ballet
Invasion of
was
the
the
Muppet
last
Snackers
one,
is
maybe.
interesting, at least.
It's not gonna be anything about aliens or nothing like that.
You don't think so?
I mean, I would almost guess it would be like when Gonzo stole the cookies, but couldn't possibly be. And then the first one will just be like they're giving each other Valentines for Valentine's Day. Invasion of the Muppet Snackers will be like they run out of something they like and they have to pretend like they're eating it. They go to Candyland or something. I bet they go to Candyland in that one.
We'll also watch a brief scene from a movie called Kids Like These that features Big Bird. And we'll talk about that more next time because there's a lot to talk about there. But we'll also watch Miss Piggy's November 1987 appearance on Dolly Parton's show, Dolly.
Great. I'm excited for that one.
They do a little bit more, I think, even than Kermit and Dolly did. I think she has a few segments throughout the episode. Well, then we need to thank our friend Tuna for making music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for your commitment needs. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast on your platform of choice, preferably with 5 stars, but, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You can email us at mail@commitment.com or follow us everywhere on social media at commitmentpod, or you can also follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.